Hello everyone, you're now with me, Ruben Gomez, for TVS News at 5. Let's move on to the news. Amendments to the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988 will deal with harsher penalties against anyone found violating Standard Operating Procedure (SOP). Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the Emergency Management Technical Committee had scrutinized provisions under the law to allow for stricter and swifter enforcement of the SOP. He said it was crucial to follow SOP at workplaces, workers' quarters, business premises and factories to break the chain of COVID-19 infections. Under the amended law, businesses found violating SOPs would immediately be ordered to close. Legal action would also be taken against business owners, franchise holders and operators, as well as other stakeholders. Cabinet agrees to appoint Khairi Jamaluddin as Minister in charge of COVID-19 immunizations coordination. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation will lead a special task force that manages the implementations of the National COVID-19 Immunization Program. It involved issues related to logistics and coordinations with state and government agencies. Muhyiddin said this to ensure the Ministry of Health will continue to focus on the functions of health services in dealing with the spread of the COVID-19 epidemic, which is still showing a worrying trend. A total of 6 officers and 120 volunteers and members of Regiment 511 Territorial Army were involved in enhancing the enforcement of the Movement Control Order MCO in Sibu District.
Anggota yang terpilih dan mereka merupakan anggota Regimen 511 yang pertama akan diaturgerakkan luar daripada kawasan 3 brigade di kawasan yang mana mereka ni diambil daripada batalion-batalion yang berada di Kuching, Semantan dan juga sejauh Seriaman.
According to Azhar, the forces will be deployed under the Movement Control Operation or Penawar Malaysian 9th Infantry Brigade.
9 brigade dan mereka semua ni akan diletakkan di 8 SGR yang telah dikenal pasti di Sibu oleh Panglima 9 Brigade dan penerimaan mereka di sana akan diterima oleh Panglima sendiri dan mereka akan ditaklimatkan tentang tugas dan misi yang akan mereka laksanakan di Sibu nanti.
He stressed to the members and volunteers who are involved in the operation to maintain their discipline and compliance with the SOPs during their duties. Azhar also said the team involved has already undergone COVID-19 screening tests.
Welcome back. The flood situation in several districts of Sarawak have shown worrying trends as flood evacuation centres were reactivated due to the rising number of victims on Thursday afternoon.
The number of flood victims currently at evacuation centres in Sarawak has risen to 212 from 61 families. According to the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee or SDMC, Serian recorded the highest number of evacuees at 79 from 18 families. 32 of the flood victims in the district are from 6 families in Kampong Slabi Untukoh who are being accommodated at a temporary relief centre at the community hall in the village. Meanwhile, 23 victims from 5 families were also evacuated from Kampong Melayu Tebakang Serian to the PPS at Dewan Sekolah Kebangsaan Tebakang. The remaining flood victims comprise 77 people from 27 families in the Kule Longhouse Nangga Embuwau in Song district. Meanwhile, 8 people were from 2 families in Kampong Dagang Tatau who are at the PPS at Tatau Sports Hall in the Tatau district.
There are a few things to keep in mind during this upcoming Chinese New Year celebration in light of the ongoing COVID-19 situation in Sarawak. The public are advised to be vigilant during this year's celebrations.
State Health Director Dr. Chin Zin Hing advised those residing in the red, orange or yellow zone not to go into the green zone areas. He said should Chinese New Year gatherings be held, celebrants are to make sure that their numbers is as small as possible. Dr. Chin urged the people to meet non-family members in compounds outside of their respective homes to always comply with the SOPs. Other than that, he said they are to avoid eating and drinking sessions that go on for more than 15 minutes and also avoid sharing plates and glasses.
Stamp duty counters at the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia LHDN Cebu branch will be closed starting today until a future date to be announced.
LHDN, in a statement on Thursday, said the closure is to enable sanitization works to be carried out in the area. As an alternative, LHDN customers can get a hold of their services online through www.hasil.gov.my or visit the Serkei Stamp Center or Muka Revenue Service Center. Taxpayers who are visiting LHDN premises are asked to adhere fully to the standard operating procedures in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Stipulated by the National Security Council and the Ministry of Health.
The Ministry of Health has urged the public to undergo screening and reminded to identify the early signs and symptoms of cancer to prevent late detection. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said early detection as well as quick and effective treatment will give a better chance at recovery.
Saya menyeru semua rakyat Malaysia untuk yang pertama menjadikan pencegahan kanser sebagai salah satu agenda utama dalam kehidupan seharian. Yang kedua, menjalani ujian saringan kanser yang telah disediakan. Yang ketiga, sekiranya dikesan menghadapi kanser, segera dapat rawatan di hospital. Dan yang keempat, amalkan gaya hidup sihat.
He said this in a statement in conjunction with World Cancer Day on Thursday. World Cancer Day on February 4th this year is celebrated with the theme I Am and I Will, meant to invite the masses to support and take part in efforts to prevent and control cancer.
Statistik yang amat mengusarkan adalah sebanyak 63.7% daripada kesemua kes kanser dikesan di Malaysia pada tahap lewat, iaitu tahap 3 dan tahap 4. Ia menjadikan rawatan lebih sukar dan mahal. Oleh yang demikian, pengesanan awal serta rawatan yang cepat dan berkesan memberi peluang yang baik kepada pesakit untuk sembuh.
With regards to this, Dr. Noor Hisham said the Health Ministry is always committed in encouraging the public to practice healthy living. Dr. Noor Hisham added the ministry is always attentive to the health and well-being of cancer patients, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to him, cancer is one of the most feared chronic diseases, one which could highly negatively impact patients, families, and the country.
The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation (APEC) is forecasting the region's economy to expand by 5.7% this year and 4.1% in 2022. However, the growth is expected to be inequitable across the APEC economies.
The APEC Policy Support Unit, in an update of its regional trends analysis, is also estimating a lower regional economic contraction of 2% in 2020, an improvement from the forecast of a 2.5% decline it made in November last year. Despite a slight uptick in 2020's economic growth and a relatively optimistic outlook for 2021 and 2022, the report noted that growth would be uneven across APEC economies. The speed and strength of the recovery are largely determined by the effective management of the pandemic and successful vaccination programs. For trade, the unit said the region recorded a better performance in the third quarter of 2020. The value of merchandise exports and imports declined at a lower rate of 2.4% and 5.7% respectively, from as much as 16 to 17% in the previous quarter. Commercial services plunged by a cumulative 22.9% for exports and 24.5% for imports during the period January to September 2020, largely resulting from major losses in the transport and trade sectors.
Well, that's conclude the news at 5. Remember, 11:30 p.m. Cheryl Shaminato for the Nightline. Ruben Gomez, anytime, anywhere.